Welcome, listeners, to another deep dive. This time we're headed into a world of shadows and secrets.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Yeah, right. It's Vampire, the Masquerade. You guys requested it, specifically the 20th anniversary edition.
A classic, and a perfect choice for a deep dive.
Right. And I gotta say, digging into this, it's not your average vampire tale.
What's fascinating about this game is how it goes beyond just, escapism. It really makes you think about power, morality, what it means to be human, even when, you're not.
Yeah, and that's what hooked me. We've got this book, right? The Vampire, the Masquerade 20th anniversary edition, and it throws you right into the deep end. You're not just reading about vampires, you're becoming one.
It's a game of personal horror, where the stakes, they're a bit higher than just life or death. It gets under your skin, makes you ask yourself, what would you do with an eternity of darkness ahead of you?
Okay, see, that's what gets me. It's not just about surviving the night, though that's a big part. It's the society, this hidden world within our world.
Mm-hmm.
And this game, it's had a huge impact. I mean, real world communities, even careers have sprung up around it.
It's true. It's amazing how these games, they can resonate so strongly. It's the power of shared stories, of stepping into another role, exploring these really complex themes, and it builds connections, real connections that go beyond the game itself. There's a whole world of online strategy out there just waiting to be explored.
Now, that would be something worth subscribing to for sure. So we've got these vampires, kindred as they call them, living right under our noses.
And that's where the Masquerade comes in. It's the cardinal rule, the absolute bedrock of their society. Vampires have to keep up the illusion, make humans believe they're just like them, because if the truth got out, it wouldn't be pretty.
So every coffee date, every business meeting, it's all a performance.
Yeah.
Talk about pressure. But it's not just about hiding from us, right? The book talks about these elders, these ancient vampires pulling strings from the shadows.
Imagine being newly turned. You're still grappling with this massive change, this thirst. And suddenly you're thrown into a world ruled by these beings. Centuries old, masters of manipulation, playing these long, intricate games.
Okay, so they're basically puppet masters.
Pretty much. The book describes them as strategists, using younger vampires as pawns in their schemes.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's a power dynamic that defines a lot of the stories in Vampire, the Masquerade.
Can you give me an example? Like, how does that play out?
Picture this. You've got a young Bruja, all fire and impulsiveness.
Classic Bruja.
And a Ventrue elder, all calculated and subtle, whispers in their ear, points them towards, say, a Toreador. Maybe someone influential, a little too proud for their own good. The Bruja, they take the bait, chaos ensues, and the Ventrue. They're several steps ahead, their plan unfolding perfectly.
Wow, so much for vampire solidarity.
Right. It's a world of intrigue, with these young vampires trying to find their footing while navigating these power dynamics. But it's not just a free-for-all.
Sex.
Think of them as factions, each with its own ideology, its own way of existing in this world. You've got the Camarilla, the Sabbat, and the Anarch movement, each offering a different perspective on how vampires should navigate the modern world, how they fit into the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so 3 very different flavors of undead. Let's break it down. We touched on the Camarilla earlier. They're all about keeping up the masquerade, right? The keep it low-key vampires.
You could say that. Order, control, those are their watchwords. Preserving the masquerade at all costs. They believe in upholding the traditions, these ancient rules meant to keep vampires hidden. They're very structured, very hierarchical. Everything from where you feed to who you associate with, it's all dictated by tradition and your place within the Camarilla.
Rules are rules kind of vampires. But we all know where there are rules, there are rule breakers.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And that's where the Sabbat comes in. They're a different breed altogether. The Camarilla preaches coexistence. The Sabbat, they see the masquerade as a form of slavery. They revel in their power, in their difference from humans. They believe, ultimately, that humans will be overthrown.
Intense. So you've got the control freaks and the anarchists.
Right?
Which I guess brings us to, the anarchs, right?
Right on the money. The anarchs, they're the rebels. They chafe against the established order, especially the rule of the elders. They believe power should be earned, not inherited just because you're old.
Yeah.
Merit over tradition is their motto.
So it's a vampire revolution in the making.
You could say that.
Okay, I'm liking this already. But it's not as simple as just picking a side, is it? You mentioned independence earlier.
Ah, yes, the wild cards. The independents operate outside the whole sect structure. Some are loners, some belong to ancient bloodlines with their own agendas. They add another layer of complexity to an already complex society.
So like in any good society, you've got your rule followers, your rule breakers, and those who say rules. What rules? I get it. But hold on, it gets even more interesting. Inside these sects, there's another layer. The clans.
The clans are fascinating. They really showcase the diversity, the sheer range of vampire powers and origins. You've got the Assamites, these legendary assassins feared for their skills. Then there are the Malkavians, touched by madness, but often with these unnerving insights, almost prophetic abilities. And then, of course, there are the Nosferatu. They embody the monstrous side of the curse. Their very appearance ostracizes them, even from other vampires.
So it's like each clan brings something different to the table, strengths, weaknesses.
Exactly. It makes you think, where do you fit in?
And that's the beauty of Vampire, the Masquerade. It's not just about observing this world, it's about immersing yourself in it. You get to create a vampire, your vampire, and carve out your own path in this world of darkness.
And that's where things get really exciting. You're not just, picking a cool name in a clan. You're creating a whole being. History, motivations, morality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as much morality as a vampire can have.
It's like method acting, but with fangs.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, how does it work? What makes a good vampire character?
Attributes and abilities, they're the foundation.
Okay, base.
Attributes are your raw potential. Strength, dexterity, stamina, intelligence. Like how naturally strong or agile your vampire is.
Gotcha. So like a natural athlete versus a bookworm, even as vampires.
Exactly. And abilities, those are learned skills. Brawl, stealth, academics, even things like etiquette.
Okay, so a Bruja bouncer might be all about that brawl, while a Tremere scholar is rocking the academics.
You got it. And then, of course, you have the supernatural stuff. Disciplines. These are the powers that make vampires. Super speed, mind control, even seeing auras. Each clan has its specialties.
Tell me more about disciplines.
Oh, there are some cool ones. Celerity for that blur of motion speed. Dominate, to basically control minds. Auspex can let you see auras, read emotions, even get glimpses of the future.
Okay, so each vampire has their own, supernatural toolkit.
You got it. Makes every character unique.
But what about personality?
Natures and demeanors. Nature is your vampire's true self. Deep down, who are they? But then there's the demeanor, the mask they wear for the world. Because remember, keeping up appearances is vital for a vampire.
So you could have a Bruja who's, a real idealist at heart, but they come across as this cocky, tough guy.
Exactly. It creates a really interesting internal conflict.
For sure. Speaking of internal conflict, humanity. That's got to be a big deal. There are vampires feeding on people. How do they hold on to any humanity at all?
It's a constant struggle. Humanity, it's like the measure of their soul. The more human they remain, the easier it is to resist the beast.
The beast.
It's the primal urge, the hunger. Every vampire has it, and it's constantly trying to take over.
So every time they feed, every time they use their powers, it's a test.
You could say that. Give in to the beast too much, and you start losing your humanity. Frenzies, losing control. It's not pretty.
Intense. So it's a tightrope walk, one wrong step, and
a spiral. Some vampires hold on to their humanity by clinging to what they remember. Art, music, relationships.
Well,
even if it's just a memory, it can be a lifeline. Paths of enlightenment.
Paths of enlightenment.
Like instead of clinging to fading humanity, they find a new path, a new code to live by.
So what, they just decide to be a different kind of monster?
Kind of. Each path has a different philosophy. For example, the path of blood. The Assamites, they're big on that one. It's all about mastering the beast, becoming the ultimate predator, but it's about control, discipline.
Okay, so even the be a better monster path has rules.
Oh, absolutely. There's the path of Cain, very introspective. It's all about self-discovery, understanding what it really means to be a vampire. Then you've got things like the path of metamorphosis. The Simis favor that one. They want to transcend their physical limitations, become something more.
And when you say more, you mean?
Let's just say it gets weird.
Okay, then. So choosing a path, it's not just picking a set of beliefs. It's like shaping your vampire's whole outlook on existence.
Exactly. It influences how they interact with the world, their goals, everything.
Wow. Okay, so we've got these characters, these deep, complex characters.
Right.
But this is a game, right? How does it actually play?
narrative. Well, that's where the storyteller comes in.
Okay, so the storyteller, they're the one running the show.
Exactly. They're like the architect of the narrative. They present the challenges, the setting, the NPCs, non-player characters, the folks your vampire interacts with, allies, enemies, unsuspecting mortals.
Right. So the storyteller controls all that, but it's still a game, right? The players have to have some freedom.
Absolutely. The storyteller sets the stage, but the players' choices, their actions, those are what drive the story. It's a collaboration.
So, like, the storyteller might describe a scene, but it's up to the players to decide how their vampires react.
Exactly. Will they try to blend in, use their powers to influence the situation, maybe just feed on someone and get out? That's the fun of it. You never know what's going to happen.
It's like improv, but with higher stakes.
Yeah.
And fangs.
Pretty much. And that's where things get really interesting, because those choices, they have consequences.
Right, because we've talked about humanity and the beast. But the book, it uses this tagline, "A beast I am, lest a beast I become," which is kind of chilling. What's that all about?
It's the heart of the game, really. Acknowledging that monstrous part of being a vampire, but also the struggle against it, to hold on to some piece of yourself, even when everything is telling you to let go.
So it's not enough to just survive as a vampire. You have to choose what kind of monster you're going to be.
Yes, and those choices, they're woven into everything. Do you feed on innocence?
Yeah.
Use your powers for selfish gain. Every decision pushes you closer to the beast or helps you cling to that last shred of humanity.
Man, that's heavy. Really makes you think.
And that's what makes Vampire the Masquerade so great. It's not simple. It doesn't give you easy answers. It makes you ask tough questions, confront your own morality.
Right. Makes you wonder, if you were in that situation, facing an eternity of darkness, what would you do?
It's a game that sticks with you, sparks the imagination, makes you think about things differently.
Well, listeners, as we come to the end of our deep dive into Vampire, the Masquerade, I gotta say, this one really got to me.
It's a classic for a reason.
It's more than just a game, isn't it? It's a story about power, about the darkness inside all of us, about what it means to be human, even when you're not.
And about the choices we make, even in the face of, well, eternal night.
So to all you listeners out there, if you're ready to explore the world of darkness, grab yourself a copy of Vampire the Masquerade. But be warned, once you step into the shadows, you might not ever want to leave. Until next time, keep it spooky. And remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create ourselves. And who knows, maybe this deep dive will even inspire you to level up your own like and subscribe game.